Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. Okay, so here's one for the X-Files. Have you noticed our intro theme has this vaguely Mulder and Scully vibe to it in certain places? Well, it definitely fits the bill today because we're dealing with unidentified objects, secret technology, things that Smoking Man definitely would have stuffed into one of those filing cabinets in a dim-lit tunnel beneath the Pentagon. Anybody got his number, by the way? His real-life equivalent, maybe? Come on. Because someone definitely did stash away those files so that Donald Trump wouldn't see them. But Jonasz, didn't they say they wanted to bring out the UFO files out into the open? Well, yeah, that's true, but we're not talking UFOs here today. We're talking USVs, possibly also UUVs, because it seems that Donald Trump, they simply do not exist. USVs, unmanned surface vehicles, and their more camera-shy equivalents, the unmanned underwater vehicles, came into the spotlight following a recent statement by a US president who cast doubt on the very existence of Iranian kamikaze naval drones. According to him, such technologies are fake, and the videos featuring them were likely created using artificial intelligence. So, is the truth really out there? Let's find out.
They put out phony story, the kamikaze boats. The kamikaze boats don't exist. They're fake. And you can almost see that when you look at them. It looks great, yeah. Because if they did exist, we'd hit them just like we hit other boats all over the place. But they don't exist. In fact, some of the people say, where are the boats? Well, how come nobody's seen the boats? You know why? Because it's AI generated. It's fake.
Now, the statement came as a surprise, not only to military experts, but also to those who follow the war in Ukraine, even just superficially. The reason for that is simple. For at least 3 years now, maritime drone technology has been one of the most notable innovations in modern warfare, and Ukraine has emerged as its primary developer and user. The SBU's Sea Baby class maritime drones have repeatedly demonstrated their effectiveness in the Black Sea, for example. Late last year, one of these drones struck the oil tanker named Disinformation, which is linked to Russia's so-called Shadow Fleet. The vessel sustained critical damage, showing Ukraine's approach to sanctions, by the way, quick, efficient, and free from any unnecessary red tape. This, by the way, is not an isolated incident. Ukrainian unmanned boats were also used to attack a Russian Varshavianka-class submarine in the port of Novorossiysk. Ironically enough, the very same class of sub that the United States reportedly smashed to bits with an ATACMS strike, possibly because it was in a dry dock at the time. But back to the war in Ukraine, because we're not talking about Iranian subs, we're talking about the Russian subs. Now, as a result of the Ukrainian strike, the Russian submarine effectively lost its combat capability. According to the SBU, it was carrying the deadly Kalibr missile launchers, meaning this particular strike carries significant consequences for Kiev's foes. But the real reason I'm telling you all this is to show drone boats and drone subs are not some military creatures of ancient myth, but a very real weapon with proven combat record. Modern maritime drones have become one of the key tools of asymmetric warfare, you see. They are relatively inexpensive to manufacture, difficult to intercept, and capable of inflicting significant damage on much more expensive targets. That is precisely why Ukraine not only employs such technologies, but also develops them in partnership with other countries. In particular, a statement has been signed with Portugal on the joint production of maritime drones, a step that could strengthen the defense capabilities of both Ukraine and Europe as a whole. But I guess you're all waiting for more evidence, specifically that this is no conspiracy theory after all. So let's take a look at exactly that. And no, these videos are not AI generated. Imagine that. Okay, so we all know Trump's impulsive nature when talking to the media. Love it or hate it, it's his own personal style. Plus, Iran has been literally flooding the information space with AI-generated images and videos, including some really insane and surreal stuff like exploding US aircraft carriers, Dubai's Burj Khalifa on fire, and even downed American stealth aircraft like the B-2 with Iranian troops posing for pictures beside them. So yeah, the environment is absolutely saturated with these fakes, meaning that, most likely, Trump's off-the-cuff comment was aimed at Iran specifically, even though the media has been reporting on Iranian uncrewed vessels for weeks now. Fox News recently did an item on suicide skiffs, drones disguised as wooden fishing boats, wreaking havoc on oil tankers. But if in doubt about unmanned drone boats as such and their existence, Trump may want to ask Vladimir Putin exactly where his Varshavianka submarine went after its encounter with those non-existent drones. Seeing Putin's face when faced with such questions would be absolutely priceless. But, he should be aware of this. He's been helping Iran all along, after all. But speaking of fake online content, let's take a look at Russia. While the world watches the tensions escalate in the Middle East, Russian state-linked media outlets have turned to a familiar activity, manufacturing an alternative reality specifically. The Matryoshka Disinformation network has begun mass distributing fake videos, using the US and Israel's war against Iran as a universal backdrop for information attacks against Ukraine and Europe. On Monday, at least 5 videos appeared on the social media platform X that were presented as content from reputable international media outlets. In reality, however, they were edited fakes featuring counterfeit logos and fabricated storylines. The most popular video reportedly racked up over 1.1 million views, a figure that is likely inflated, by the way. It was presented as if it had been produced by the Institute for the Study of War, and claimed that France was covering up the aftermath of an Iranian strike on a base in Abu Dhabi, where dozens of French soldiers were allegedly killed. Two other videos were aimed specifically at Ukraine. They claimed that Ukrainian phone scammers had stolen tens of millions of euros and dollars from citizens of France, the United States, Germany and Israel after the escalation of the war. Another video pushed a familiar propaganda narrative that the missiles used to attack NATO bases in the Middle East were actually weapons sent to Ukraine and later sold on the black market. Yeah, that thing again. By this logic, Ukraine ends up being blamed for everything all at once, from global wars to phone scams, and apparently anything else the creators of these fakes can imagine. Interestingly enough, during the previous 12-day war in 2025, the very same Russian network barely mentioned Iran at all. At that time, its main target was Moldova, as it headed into an election. This suggests that what matters to the Kremlin and its bots is not the conflict itself, but the opportunity to use it as a pretext for disinformation. Modern information operations are rarely aimed at supporting a specific ally. Their main goal is to spread doubt, mistrust, and information noise. When every news story could turn out to be fake, people even stop trusting the truth. And that is the main victory of disinformation, you see. So, one rule of the 21st century information war might sound like this: If a sensational video appears before journalists have confirmed it, it is probably not an exclusive, but just another Russian nesting doll with a familiar fake hidden inside. And with this, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news, updates, and commentary.